That's why Carolina's in Chapel Hill and USC's in California. And the university in this state always has been, always will be, Clemson. Print that, tweet that.
And I hope they come in here undefeated. That's what I told you before the game. Our team believes. Our team believes. They got heart. We got greatness in us. They say we can't do it. What they say now?
Down go the champs. Auburn's 17-game win streak comes to an end.
We got greatness in us. So I told them, you got greatness in you, but you got to make a decision to be great. They made a decision to be great today. And I couldn't think of a better place to end the streak. It's Death Valley, South Carolina.
And now it's time for TigerNet Talk, presented by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty.
They got the coaches back, and they have each other's back. Ice water in his veins.
Welcome back into another edition of TigerNet Talk. Thank you so much, Clemson fans, for being here with us. Episode number 182. And the Clemson Tigers, it appears as we go live here on air at 9 p.m. Wednesday evening, each and every Wednesday. The Tigers have just tied the ball game up against NC State. They have a man on third, I believe, as I am trying to do two things at once. I believe there's a man on third right now for the Tigers. Yes, two down, though. A double play ball was hit by, I believe that was Garrett Bulware. That allows the Clemson Tigers to tie the game up. And fortunately, the Tigers did not leave everyone in scoring position with the bases loaded, much like they did this past weekend against Florida State on the road in that series. So the ACC baseball tournament is underway. You know our feelings on the format. We've told you before, we don't like this round-robin format, but I finally had somebody who could throw me a bone and give me a reason why I should enjoy it or why I should like it. And that's the fact that this saves arms, so to speak. If you have to battle back in a double elimination tournament, you can completely eradicate your bullpen. And that's something that I hadn't given much credence to until I started to have a conversation about it. And it makes a lot of sense in that regard. If you want to take part in the program, 803-450-0086. I expected our numbers to be down this evening on the live show because of the baseball game. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to move my schedule around. And if you listen to Clemson Hotline, you know we made a major announcement on that program that it may, in fact, be my final episode of the Clemson Hotline. That program kicks back off in August. Will it be done from 108 Studios? I'm not sure. I may be the guy doing it. I may not be. We've got a whole lot of other stuff going on, so we're definitely growing and expanding the Clemson Sports Talk brand. Kind of trying to follow this baseball game, though. You want to tweet to us, it's hashtag TNTalk. Hashtag TNTalk. And also, if you are on Twitter, follow us. We're at Clemson Sports, Clemson News, Notes, Information, and more. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And email us anytime, Clemson81@gmail.com. But in this round-robin format, which I don't like, at least you don't have to battle back, maybe waste your bullpen. That's key, I think. Maybe not when you look at the Atlantic Coast Conference tournament, but the NCAA tournament. And when you think of the power rankings of the ACC, just how good this conference is from top to bottom. In the RPI right now, North Carolina and Virginia are 2 and 3. Florida State is 5. NC State is number 9 right now. There you go. 4 of the top 9 teams in the RPI rankings are from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Virginia Tech, Clemson's up there at 12. Virginia Tech's at 15 right now. Miami's at 20. A loaded tournament in Durham. So from that perspective, and that's the only perspective that I can see where this is any good. And that probably still only feels good if you win this tournament. And that's still been my biggest issue with the way it's set up. But I'm glad they're switching it up. If you have to battle back, so be it. It's about giving yourself a shot on the field to win it and this is still, as I mentioned on Sunday night on Clemson Hotline, the worst system that I've ever heard of. Worse than the BCS for deciding the national championship, this round-robin format that the Atlantic Coast Conference uses. But at least somebody was able to pitch an argument to me as to why it makes sense. And I think in some degrees it does when you consider saving arms. Give it up, though, speaking of the Clemson Tiger baseball team, for Daniel Gossett, Shane Kennedy, and Steve Wilkerson. All three were named to the All-ACC team. On the second team, All-ACC honors, though, but those guys have been solid for the Clemson Tigers throughout the entire season. Daniel Gossett has been phenomenal in my mind. He's 9-3 coming into this game this evening against NC State with a 2.2 ERA. The young man has really settled in and gotten comfortable, and this team has grown up very, very quickly. Very quickly. In a blink of an eye, much like your kids probably grow up. If you have children, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in a blink of an eye, this Clemson Tiger baseball team has grown up. They know how to win ball games. To see them fight and scrap into this one to make it 2-2 into the bottom of, I believe, the fifth inning. My screen is a little bit choppy because I obviously am streaming out to you as well. That makes it a little bit more difficult for me to get a crystal clear picture. If I have the inning wrong, please someone update me in the chat room, but I believe my screen says the fifth inning. Not getting the optimal performance right now as we upload to you. So yes, the Atlantic Coast Conference tournament is underway. It is 2-2, the Tigers, bottom of the sixth inning. And I can tell you this would be a big win for Clemson because, as we mentioned, a loss in this game for the Tigers could mean that before they even play Game 2 on Friday, that they would be eliminated from being able to play for the championship. And that's the issue I have with this. That's why this is the dumbest system ever invented. The 40th Atlantic Coast Conference tournament that the Clemson Tigers have ever played in. They are the 5th seed. And somebody said, which side of this bracket would you want to be on? Oh, I don't think it really matters. As I mentioned, it's loaded on both sides. It doesn't matter if you have to go up against NC State in North Carolina or if you have to go up against Florida State and Virginia. You're going to go up against a top-level team no matter where you are. But Clemson's now proving, I think, to many people out there that are watching them and the way they've played, that's the credit that you have to give to the South Carolina Gamecocks and their baseball team throughout the years. When they won their national championships, I'm not so sure that they were the most skilled team on the field. They were good. They had some really good pitchers, no doubt about it. But players like Jackie Bradley Jr. at the plate made plays. Guys got the job done in crunch time. And that's all Clemson's been looking for. It seemed like for maybe the past 4 or 5 years, when the going got tough, the Clemson Tiger baseball team cowered just a little bit, tucked their tails between their legs, and fell apart. I'm not seeing that from this team right now. I see a team that's confident when they step out on the field. A team that expects to win. And part of that's because of that winning streak that they've had down the stretch. The momentum is a tough, tough thing to overcome for anybody. And once you have it, and once you start feeling good, it's the reason that guys like Mike Tyson were great. It's the reason that Muhammad Ali was amazing. When you start to think of those boxers, because they had the utmost confidence in themselves, and they rode a ton of momentum into matches. Mike Tyson won probably half of his matches before the bell rung because the other people were just scared. It's an alpha male. It's an alpha male mentality. And everybody else, Michael Spinks. Listen, if you got up to go get popcorn for all you youngsters out there, just YouTube the Mike Tyson-Michael Spinks fight. That thing lasted about a minute and a half. And Spinks was supposed to actually challenge him. I could remember, and this is ironic because we're going to have a series on the program. We're going to have a show coming up later this summer where we talk about great video games, great sports video games. One of the greatest of all time, so Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Has to be. I can remember thinking to myself, if Michael Spinks wins this championship, I'm going to change my game to Michael Spinks Punch-Out. I was just going to scratch it out, I guess, and do my own little before they had Photoshop. I was just going to mark through it. If you got up to get popcorn before you could return to your seat, the fight was over. Chris in the chat room hits nail on head when he says this team has a different attitude. Not sure what the change has been from the past couple of years. I know, and that's the amazing thing, because for the longest time, Chris, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that the big problem was Jack Leggett. But sometimes being new and young like this team is, they didn't know any better. They just didn't know any better. And they went out, and in a lot of these ball games this year, they went out and took it. And that starts to catch on, and you start to believe, and you snowball. You look at South Carolina, they had, a fish flying around with them, a little old a beta fish. I mean, that was their rallying cry. That was what they were buying into. And I think this Clemson Tiger team kind of buys into that underdog mentality, that belief that people don't expect it from us, but yet we're going to go out and do it. And that's what's been so amazing to me about this team. And if they can win this game against NC State, and look, by no means is this game anywhere over. The NC State Wolfpack are an outstanding ball club. But for this Clemson team to be as young and as inexperienced as they are, growing up right before your very eyes, you have to be proud. No matter what happens over the next couple of days in Durham, you have to be proud of this team. And this is a sport at Clemson, which I have come on the program for a couple of years now and said, you know what, I'm as disappointed in this baseball program as any program on campus. And that includes women's basketball. These guys play tight. They have errors in the field. The worst thing for me is how many times over the past 2 or 3 years we've sat at the plate frozen pizza on a full count and just been sat down. I'm the guy, the old saying, go down swinging. I just want to go down swinging. Give me a shot to make contact. That's all I'm asking for. Just one shot to make contact. But this Tiger team has definitely changed my opinion of Jack Leggett. And not because Jack Leggett was a bad coach over the past few seasons. And I know there's been some definite disagreements with some of the base running, some of the calls he makes over at third base, the aggressive nature and aggressive approach. We talked about that earlier this year, that if Jack Leggett were younger, he would probably be less scrutinized for being a little bit of a wild card there at third base. But because he is an older coach, he's been around for a long time, he's been entrenched, he's seen those same base running mistakes cost him in the past. Lots of people say, Jack, you can't do that anymore. But it seems like it's starting to pay off. This team seems to believe. And I believe it's time for us to pay some bills. So stay with us. Listen to our sponsors. We thank them very much for helping us provide this content for Tiger fans everywhere in the world. Stay with us. Miss that old familiar ping of college baseball? Well, guess what? You don't have to miss a single game of Clemson Tiger baseball, as you can stay at the closest hotel to Doug Kingsmore Stadium, the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. Rooms are available for baseball season with lakeside accommodations, complimentary continental breakfast, bar, Seasons Restaurant by the lake, Joe's Place Bar, and the Walker Golf Course. All are waiting for you right around the corner from the stadium. For reservations, contact General Manager Sharon Franks at sharonf@clemson.edu or call toll-free 1-888-654-9020 and ask to speak to Sharon. It's the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. Go to www.clemsonuniversityin.com.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about services offered by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC, visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate or reach them by phone 864-517-3620 or 864-517-3621. Clemson Sports Talk fans, let us help you. With rates starting as low as $100 a month, you can advertise with us through July 2013. We are currently seeking additional advertisers and would love to help you spread the word about your business. Email us clemson81@gmail.com for additional information. Sponsors will receive an ad during the show and a link and logo in the weekly show notes on TigerNet and on the front page of ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Take your business to the Clemson fans around the world with us, ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
The 1988 season was a great year for the Clemson Tigers, finishing 10-2 with a win over Oklahoma in the Citrus Bowl. But it was a better year for Clemson fans. That season, Tigertown Graphics became your source for custom tees, promotional items, and embroidery. Conveniently located in the heart of downtown Clemson, their retail store proudly displays Clemson shirts that are designed and printed directly on site. Whether you're looking for the latest Clemson t-shirts or ordering products for your school, organization, or business, Tigertown Graphics can help with all of your t-shirt needs. Find them online at www.tigertowngraphics.com. A Clemson tradition since 1988.
I thought I'd grow up and I'd settle down. There was 10,000 girls up in Tigertown, and it was heaven to me. I used to sneak downtown with my fake ID and watch Doug McCormick rock TDs on a Friday night.
That's the voice of Cody Webb. Check him out online. Fantastic stuff. Clemson graduate, great guy. Wears the Edisto Outdoors apparel, one of our sponsors. And, of course, if you want to join the Edisto Outdoors street team this summer, you want to make it some extra green, I know you do, email us clemson81@gmail.com. I'll put you in touch with the right people over there. Tell them we sent you, and you can be a part of their street team as they continue to push their brand out to major retail markets. And they want to get some people out there on the streets telling folks about their gear. And Eddie emails us. He said it's graduation time and the job market is tough. Just wanted to put the word out that Huntington Ingalls, or Ingalls, I should say, always has job openings. They design, build, and maintain nuclear and non-nuclear ships for the U.S. Navy and Coast Guard. Primary locations are in Newport News, Virginia, and Pascagoula, Mississippi. Real need for engineers and craftsmen. So you can also go to apprentice school if you're a high schooler that needs to find traditional college is not for them. You may go to apprenticeschool.com, get paid while you're learning this trade. I promised Eddie, he's a loyal listener to the show, that I would mention that. And I'm pretty sure that Pascagoula, growing up when I was a kid, we used to listen to some old Ray Stevens. I'm pretty sure Pascagoula was the place they had that Mississippi Squirrel revival. Let me see. I think that was it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this jam. It's a little bit country for my taste. A little bit silly.
When I was a kid, I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi.
Right,
Visit my
right state.
granddad, her antebellum world.
Mississippi.
I'd run barefooted all day long, climbing trees, free as a song. One day, I happened to catch myself a squirrel.
All right.
Well, I stuffed him down in an old shoebox and punched a couple
Does anybody know what the
holes,
chorus
and
is?
Sunday came, I snuck him into church. I was sitting way back in the very last
I don't know. I'll see if I can find it in the song. But anyway, Ray Stevens, if you don't know it, the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. I'm pretty sure that went down in Pascagoula. I didn't even think it was a real town, to be honest with you. So, anyway, thank you to Eddie for listening to the program. Oh, here it comes. Here's the chorus.
The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula.
There it is, Pascagoula. I thought so. The day the squirrel went berserk. All right, thank you, Eddie. I needed that laugh. When I saw the word Pascagoula, I said, I think that was the name of the town in that song by Ray Stevens. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. I promise you, Clemson Sports Talk, I give you a couple of minutes of Ray Stevens. By the way, Clemson just doinked the batter at the plate, 2 men on in the bottom of the 7th inning, and it does not look like any outs right now. Not a good situation for the Clemson Tigers to be in. But here's a good situation for the Clemson Tiger football team. A couple of football commits. I don't think we mentioned C.J. Fuller committing to Clemson. Of course, the running back out of Easley High School. He's a 3-star kid. He's really kind of deemed an athlete. And, you know, when Clemson had Dalvin Cook decommit from them just a few short weeks ago, there were some questions about who would be the guy that comes in and fills that gap. Now, when you compare those two guys, obviously 5-star Dalvin Cook is an unbelievable prospect, a guy that I thought could even be considered an oversigned prospect for Clemson at the running back position if they could get back in good graces with him and kind of pull him back out of the SEC over at Florida. But there's been some other good news as Adam Choice, the cousin of Tashard Choice, former running back at Georgia Tech, a 4-star kid. Many people have him ranked as one of the top 10 running backs in the country this season, has also committed to the Clemson Tigers. Now, look, we've learned a couple of lessons over the past few seasons, and this is the honest-to-goodness truth about it all. I really was all in. I thought no doubt about it. That Robert Kimdichie was going to be a lock to come to Clemson after the way things kind of started with him. But apparently the folks over at Ole Miss had a different idea. Maybe Hugh Freeze said something like,
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Some sort of offer at least. Maybe it was playing time. Maybe it was whatever else they offer you over in the SEC. You'll have to ask Cam Newton. You'll have to ask his father, allegedly the bag man. I hate to throw every team in the SEC under the bus with recruiting impropriety. I can't even say it. Breaking the rules. I don't want to throw everybody under the bus over in the SEC, but clearly it is a cutthroat sport. That league maybe spends money to make money. I don't know. It certainly seems like there have been some significant issues surrounding that conference. But, hey, the Atlantic Coast Conference is not in the clear either when you look at Miami, when you look at North Carolina and what has happened at those schools in recent years. I can't justify Georgia Tech and what was it, $300, $400 worth of clothing costing them the 2009 Atlantic Coast Conference Championship in which they beat Clemson. I mean, really, all this other innuendo going on at Auburn where they win a national championship, and yet Georgia Tech has to forfeit the Atlantic Coast Conference championship game after that little small incident that they had. So the NCAA obviously needs to get things straightened out, and enforcement is terrible, but we all knew that anyway. But, yeah, this is a big pickup for the Clemson Tigers. Adams actually plays the quarterback position in high school in an option offense, but he is a kid who has some breakaway speed. He's a tremendous student as well. That's one of the things that has really driven him to decide to go to Clemson. Clemson was 7th best in the FBS schools in APR with a score of 983, and I think a lot of times we kind of poo-poo that. We kind of get angry that Clemson has changed to some degree who's in school and who's getting into school, and that worries people because you wonder if that's had an effect on recruiting, if that's kept some of the guys in the past from getting in. I can think specifically when you go back to, I think one of the biggest names in the state of South Carolina to come out as a running back in a long, long time, Stephen Davis, came down to Clemson and Auburn, And the word always was that I heard Stephen Davis just couldn't get into Clemson. Clemson wasn't willing to bend the rules to bend the regulation or the numbers to allow him to get in. He could qualify in the SEC, and that's where he went. We all know that the qualifications in the SEC at most of the schools, except for maybe Vanderbilt, and even Vanderbilt, because the SEC has lower standards, they can actually dip those if they want to allow certain players in. But I think when you look at it from that standpoint, the Atlantic Coast Conference, Clemson, this has worked in their favor to some degree with some of these guys. And here's Adam Choice deciding to come to Clemson. A lot of the reason because of the academics. So not everything is bad with being good academically. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what Clemson University was founded on. It was about improving society by giving people a higher level of education. Now, eventually it turned more into, I think, personally, one of the reasons you go to college now is to learn to live on your own, to get yourself in a routine, to get out of bed. Obviously, I wasn't the best at it because, as you know, 14 semesters in college doesn't reflect that you were getting it. It took me a while to kind of grasp it. Now, graduate school, on the other hand, had a 4.0. I crushed it in graduate school, but I was lucky to graduate from college. So growing up and getting older, and I think nowadays they say that you're really not grown, most kids, and out of the home completely till like 25 or 26 years old. And these are all, remember, just verbal commitments. I am in favor, you know that. I am in favor of a big disaster just occurring in the baseball game. I couldn't quite see what happened, but it was definitely a hot mess. And by the reaction in the chat room, it did not look good. 4-2 now. The Tigers trail NC State. The Wolfpack had the bases loaded, and then I don't know. I'm not quite sure what happened. I couldn't tell if that was a bunt. My video froze up. No. Missed the cutoff man, I guess, is what it looked like. Or the cutoff man booted the ball. So that scored a couple of runs for NC State. They would have scored one anyway. Then they get a little insurance run tacked on after the booted play, and there are still no outs in the bottom of the seventh, 2 men on. So not looking good right now for your Clemson Tigers. Remember, you can email us clemson81@gmail.com. Clemson81@gmail.com. Tweet to us, hashtag TNTalk. Or give us a call, 803-450-0086. But back to what I was alluding to there when we're talking about Clemson, you're talking about graduation rates, you're talking about improving the guys and who are coming in and maybe not being so concerned with that. I think the payoff is clearly there down the line because schools were founded on that, on improving the education of our youth. Now it's about helping them get a solid education and rounding themselves out and learning to take care of themselves. And this whole entity of the college athlete has really just blossomed and taken off in probably the last 35 years, maybe 40 years max. The investment in sports at these schools just was nowhere near this 45 and 50 years ago. And it's really changed because the mega dollars are pouring in just by the bucketfuls from ESPN, from Fox, from CBS, from ABC. Disney really behind all of it. That's the odd thing. Disney takes your money when you're young, and then they capitalize on you when you turn 18 because you're a superstar athlete. Your parents are basically paying for ABC and Disney to continue to just take off. But these two guys verbally commit. I'm obviously in favor of an early signing period because you just never know anymore about where people stand. Commitment doesn't mean commitment anymore. Verbal, maybe a better word, has pledged to possibly attend. I would like an early signing period to help these guys out because they get hounded Even a guy like Deshaun Watson, who has said time and time again to teams from across the country, I am going to go to Clemson. I want to be a Clemson Tiger. He continues to have people fly in to Gainesville, have people arrive at Gainesville, Georgia, and try to get at him and try and talk to him and sway him to come to Alabama, sway him to come to other schools out there. And for a young man like that, that's a lot of pressure. He's trying to focus on his education. And I can only imagine that when you just say, look, I'm done, and people keep knocking down your door, eventually what do? You say, okay, just come on in. And then you get swayed, and then it gets ugly, and then you drop your verbal commitment. I think these guys should have a right to lock themselves down, even if it's not something that's maybe fully binding, but something where Clemson can control the release or not, because you've seen some players recently at Florida State. You've seen some young players at Notre Dame say, hey, I didn't really want to commit here, but I committed. I'm trying to get out of it, trying to back their way out of it. And now I think to myself, if there was something else, now this is after National Signing Day, so I don't feel sorry for those kids, but even right now, just something else to make it a little bit more difficult, something to protect the interest of the player in the school, I don't know why anybody would be against it. It works for everybody. It goes both ways. It's not like I'm saying only Clemson should be allowed to do this. It should work for everybody. Commitment doesn't mean commitment anymore. And I can't get over what happened last season, partially because I'm not done eating that hat that I told someone I would eat if Robert Kimdichie didn't sign with Clemson. I got through the back part of it pretty easily, but that bill with that plastic is just too difficult. So I'm never going to say the guys are locked anymore. I don't think there is such thing as a lock when it comes to recruiting. Stay with us. Do you suffer from a chronic case of the woohoo during football games? Do your Saturdays sound something a bit like this? Well, TigerNet Talk is out to fix that. If we can band together, we can change this reoccurring issue. With a simple Go Tigers, Go Tigers Go, you can make a difference. Ban the woohoo. Do yourself a favor. And as always, Go Tigers. A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional, licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about the forestry and real estate services offered by Cross Creek Timber, call 864-517-3620 and Cross Creek Realty, LLC at 864-517-3621. Or visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate. G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft-touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors, coming soon to many fine retailers across the state. Or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or Just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that. Clemson Sports Talk fans, let us help you. With rates starting as low as $100 a month, you can advertise with us through July 2013. We are currently seeking additional advertisers and would love to help you spread the word about your business. Email us clemson81@gmail.com for additional information. Sponsors will receive an ad during the show and a link and logo in the weekly show notes on TigerNet and on the front page of ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Take your business to the Clemson fans around the world with us, ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
We turned up, we run down the hill, we so turned up. Rock the rock, hit the field, no competition, we first up. Offense is too fast, defense ain't scared, boy. Line up against me, we drop you on your head.
We may be too deep. Josh Tetzloff tweeted to us and asked about C.J. Fuller, the running back commitment status. And I tell you, like I told him, I really believe this coaching staff probably had in their mind that if they could land another great running back, that they would be willing to oversign. I think Adam Choice is a guy that could be that. There's a long way to go, as we mentioned. You never know how things are going to change. Plus, Fuller is a kid who can also play on the defensive side of the ball. He's really considered in some circles as just an athlete. So that's something that you got to watch. NC State with a 4 spot in the bottom of the 7th. Makes the score 6-2. Clemson has 2 more at bat, 6 outs away for the NC State Wolfpack from winning this game against the Clemson Tigers. And as we mentioned, because of the round-robin format, which we hate, which we think is terrible, Clemson could be eliminated before they even play, eliminated from being able to play for the championship if NC State wins their next game. Clemson wouldn't even have a shot at it, which just completely ruins, for me, the rest of the tournament. I mean, it just ruins it for me because you would think as fans who want to go and see these games, there would be much more interest if there was a double elimination playoff. The fans are the ones who really get ripped off.
Personally, I think we got hosed on that call.
I agree with Bob Uecker. We got hosed on that call. Great baseball voice there, Bob Uecker. Thank you for being here. I know tonight's a little bit different. Whenever there's a live Clemson game during our show, it's a little bit, the pace of the show is slowed down a little bit because we're trying to follow both. We want to keep the people who are willing to tune in and listen to the show live, the updates, and those of you who catch us on the podcast edition of the show, and all of our shows are archived, all our interviews are archived on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. If you didn't get a chance to listen to us the other day on 3 and Out down in Savannah and Hilton Head, please go on our website. It's over on the right-hand side. They're not in the correct order. I kind of goofed on that. That's my bad. I have them in the wrong order. It's about the 5th interview down, Lawton Visits with the guys at 3 and Out to talk Clemson. That's a great interview. Had a great time with them. And looking forward to our future here with Clemson Sports Talk as we continue to grow and expand what we're doing as we move into the summer months. We will keep you up to date on all of that. As I mentioned before, Clemson Hotline, our final episode. There will not be another show on Sundays until August the 25th. Whether I'm on that show or not is yet to be determined. There are some other things going on that could lean me towards and potentially push that seat open to another Clemson Tiger broadcaster. So we'll see where that goes. The Sporting News has put out their college football magazine. It's that time of the year. We're less than 100 days away from kickoff. It's that time of the year. And they put out their top 10 on the front page of their edition. We'll give you the rundown. Number 10 is Notre Dame. Number 9, your Clemson Tigers. So once again, another legitimate magazine has the Clemson Tigers ranked inside the top 10. Oregon is 8, Texas A&M 7, Oklahoma State is 6, Ohio State's 5, Florida is 4. So you've got a lot of talented ball clubs right there, teams that many people believe could go undefeated and perhaps play for the national championship. Obviously, the number 1 team in the country left off purposefully there, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 2 interesting pick for me out of the West. I about said out of the WAC. They're not WAC. It's the Pac-12. Stanford. Some people say their defense is pretty whack out there. South Carolina comes in at number 3. Now, look, I'm not telling you that the South Carolina Gamecocks aren't going to be a top 10 team this season. And this show is obviously not about the South Carolina Gamecocks, but I do think they have the chance to be a top 10, top 13 style team. I do not believe they are a top 5 team. I do not believe they are a top 3 team. And I understand where all of this is coming from. It makes sense to me. There is so much hype surrounding Jadeveon Clowney this season. And look, I've been much like everybody else, feeding that monster, feeding the frenzy of number 7 for the South Carolina Gamecocks, because he is a legitimate freak of nature. You don't see guys like him. And if you didn't read the article about the freaks list, the 20th crazy athletes in college football, find it. It's on CBS Sports. It talks about Jadeveon Clowney and his ability. We'll put it in the chat room right now. We're going to put it up on the screen. And about his ability to replicate power and energy in something called the Tendo. Not the Nintendo for all you gaming geeks who are happy with that gaming segment earlier. Just the Tendo. It's an electronic power and speed analyzer. And the thing that's so impressive about Jadeveon Clowney, it measures their work in watts. Jadeveon Clowney is upwards of 2,000 watts more stronger than everybody else on South Carolina's team at 8,655, and he replicates that over and over and over. I'll tell you what I'm reminded of when I think about that. Remember Rocky IV, when Ivan Drago was punching that punch meter system that tells you just how powerful he's punching? This is after he's killed Apollo Creed, by the way. Spoiler alert, I hope I didn't give that away to anybody that was planning on watching the movie. But Jadeveon Clowney, the number 1 recruit in the country, look, came down to Clemson in South Carolina. Most people knew that he was going to end up going to South Carolina. That Rock Hill area has basically fed South Carolina for years and years. And Clemson's had some great players come out of there too, but South Carolina's really impacted that area of the state, and that's one of their hotbeds to pull talent out of. But those numbers are tremendous. And I don't know if you put him up against some of the best players in the NFL at the defensive end position, that there are guys that can do what this young man can do. I mean, but no matter how good he is, he's not playing quarterback. He's not playing running back, although some would say he's probably fast enough. I mean, his size and weight, and he still runs like a 4.5 40, 4.58 at 257 pounds. I mean, the kid is an absolute freak. Now, there are some guys on here that I was surprised not to see. I mean, I really think Sammy Watkins, after his freshman campaign, just busting on the scene, I really think Sammy Watkins did enough in my mind to have been considered one of those freaks. When you look at the fact that there have only been 4 All-American freshmen in the history of college football, Marshall Faulk, Herschel Walker, I just drew a tremendous blank for some reason, Sammy Watkins and Adrian Peterson, the only wide receiver to ever pull off that feat. And I think a lot of people question the Marshall Faulk ranking there in the All-American status, but the other guys are legitimate beasts. I mean, unbelievable, game-changing players. And Sammy Watkins fell right in line with that. I mean, Sammy Watkins is that type of player, yet people still, and I put this out on Twitter just the other day, people continually beat this kid up about his season last year. Just that, Sammy's numbers were down so significantly because he was out. His freshman year, he had 82 receptions, 1,219 yards, 12 touchdowns receiving. This past season, in limited action, he played in about 2/3 of the games because you only got one play really against LSU. He had 57 catches, 708 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, look, I put that into my mathematic calculator because I obviously couldn't do that in my head. his numbers, if he plays more games, project out to 86 catches, more catches, 1,062 yards, and I didn't equate for touchdowns, but if you assume he got 3, or if you count the rushing touchdown, 4 in 8 games, you would think he would have at least gotten 2, maybe 3 more if he played in every game. The touchdown numbers would have been down. That was offset by Nuke Hopkins' season, which was way up. But statistically speaking, his numbers weren't off all that much. The disappointing thing was that he missed so many games and so many opportunities that it felt like a tremendous letdown. And I would charge you with this, too. How many other games, they were comparing Taj Boyd the other day to, I can't remember if it was Aaron Murray. But the point was about Taj Boyd, they started talking about second-half numbers and how Aaron Murray had better second-half numbers. Well, naturally, Taj Boyd is over on the sidelines sipping on Gatorade, getting his rest on after throwing 5 touchdowns in the first quarter. Naturally, his numbers in the second half are going to be way down. But Sammy's year being considered a down year, I don't consider it a down year. It was a disappointing year because of the things that happened around him all outside of the field of play and on the field of play being injured. But down year, I don't qualify it as a down year. Let us know what you think. Clemson81@gmail.com. Was it a down year last year for Sammy Watkins?
In my head, if I pointed it just
The 1988 season was a great year for the Clemson Tigers, finishing 10-2 with a win over Oklahoma in the Citrus Bowl. But it was a better year for Clemson fans. That season, Tigertown Graphics became your source for custom tees, promotional items, and embroidery. Conveniently located in the heart of downtown Clemson, their retail store proudly displays Clemson shirts that are designed and printed directly on site. Whether you're looking for the latest Clemson t-shirts or ordering products for your school, organization, or business, Tigertown Graphics can help with all of your t-shirt needs. Find them online at www.tigertowngraphics.com. A Clemson tradition since 1988.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
Hey there, Tiger fans. When you take yourself out to the ball game, make sure that you're staying at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. That's right, it's the closest hotel to Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Lakeside accommodations, complimentary continental breakfast bar with waffles, the Seasons by the Lake restaurant, Joe's Place Bar, and the Walker Golf Course are all waiting for you right around the corner from Doug Kingsmore Stadium. For reservations, contact General Manager Sharon Franks at sharonf@clemson.edu or call 1-888-654-9020 and ask to speak to Sharon. Buy yourself some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, but make sure that you stay at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about services offered by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC, visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate or reach them by phone 864-517-3620 or 864-517-3621.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors coming soon to many fine retailers across the state, or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
This is Clemson Tom, and you're listening to Clemson Sports Talk. So sit down and have you a cold one and listen to a true American.
I think it's a great point Clemson Swag makes in the chat room that he's just disappointed that we were in this game and then all of a sudden, boom, it looks like it's over with 6-2 going into the top of the ninth inning for your Clemson Tigers as they trail the NC State Wolfpack. And, I said I don't qualify it as a meltdown. It just didn't feel like a meltdown type game. Sure, there were mistakes, and Clemson Swag says, no, we just made mistakes. I agree. But it just didn't feel like that typical meltdown. And, I look at this team right now, and even going into the ninth inning, it kind of reminds me of, I believe it was the Boston Red Sox not that long ago, where you just wondered if they could figure a way out of it, if they could find a way to win. And maybe, just maybe, if you get fortunate here, the Clemson Tigers can at least find a way to push 4 runs across. Their bats have been hot in recent weeks, but it's going to be a difficult mountain to climb here in the ninth inning for the Clemson Tigers. But we won't end the program. We'll at least try and stay with you through the duration of this ball game. But as they are replaying many of the mistakes that Clemson has had throughout the game, some of which were, I guess you would consider, unforced errors, and others that maybe, when you look at the play, perhaps could have been a little bit more difficult to make. And those things happen, though, As Red Reynolds, the great legendary Red Reynolds once said, you win some, you lose some, and some get rained out. So that's the way baseball goes. I do want to congratulate Jason Parrott. Jason, follow him on Twitter. He's Dough, D-O-U-G-H, 29555. He won a Clemson Sports Talk shirt, the beer label shirt, just like the one we're wearing right now. Tiger Town Graphics, of course, does a fantastic job with our shirts. We try to give them away as much as possible. If you want to support our programming, go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com, though, and you can purchase a shirt. You can follow Tiger Town Graphics on Twitter. They're at TTGraph, G-R-A-F-X. So TT Graphics, I guess, is technically the term. And I do thank them for, man, I tell you what, getting these shirts together. They are nice and good looking, and you get a lot of compliments when you wear them. Guys, I'll guarantee you this. You wear one out to a bar, you wear one out to the library, you take one out in public, some nice young lady's probably going to walk up to you and wonder where you got such a good-looking shirt. That's a guarantee. You just, and if you get it free from me, if you win the shirt, it becomes a money-back guarantee. I'll tell you that much about it. I can't give you a money-back guarantee on it if you buy it, though. That just, something about the contracts, whatever. Anyway, Jeff Tetzlaff says he's determined to win one of these. So I know Jeff's a loyal listener to the show, and obviously he's picking up the podcast edition as he's not with us right now. But anyway, we definitely are going to continue to give those away throughout the summer, into the fall, and look forward to hopefully seeing some of you wearing these shirts at your tailgate or at a Clemson game, because nothing would make me happier than to be walking into Death Valley before a game and seeing somebody sporting one of these shirts and spreading the word about our programming, because I think there are a lot of people out there who don't know about it and who don't realize just how convenient it is. You put the show on, it's about an hour. You put it on in your car, on your iPhone, on your iPad, on your Android. You run it at 2 times the speed. You get twice the content in half the time. I mean, it's a beautiful concept. And I don't sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. They have found a way to really make it work well. So I hope that you will at least entertain that idea if you don't watch the show live. Again, Sunday night, there will be no Clemson Hotlines until August. And as I mentioned, we don't know if I'll be doing that show or not. Still working out all the details on that. Have some other things going on. Next Wednesday night, though, we will be back with more TigerNet talk, and throughout the summer we're going to continue to try to bring in former Clemson Tiger players. So I know you enjoy that when we get some interviews. Obviously looking for perhaps a guy like James Davis coming on the program. There is a home run solo shot by your Clemson Tigers. I told you, do not sleep on Clemson being able to pick up 4 runs here in the 9th inning. It's going to be tough to get up the hill, but guess what? You just put one foot right in front of the other. Durham Bulls Stadium that movie. There's Bull Durham. This is movie reference night. And can I just say that the catcher for NC State looks like he is some sort of stormtrooper. I mean, can somebody agree that he looks like a stormtrooper right now? So now the Tigers trail it 6-3 with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Sadly, things not going Clemson's way. That was Garrett Bulware with the home run there in the bottom of the 9th inning to trim that Wolfpack lead. And it's too bad that home run couldn't have come a little bit earlier. If you'll recall, Garrett Bulware was at the plate with the bases loaded with an opportunity. Ends up, though, hitting into a double play, as it were. All right, well, I said we'd try to be around. I'm looking at my show notes here to see if I have anything else I need to get to, I want to get to. Oh, yes, one final thing, and this will probably get us through the show. I was looking at the impact freshmen in the SEC. There was a great article on this, and we talk about Clemson getting to the top, becoming a national championship contender, possibly playing for the national championship. Dabo Swinney, in an article, in an interview with David Hood, obviously said on TigerNet earlier this week that getting there is especially hard, harder than people think. And then I looked at these numbers. I looked at the top-ranked guys in the SEC, and 3 out of the top 5 impact freshmen in the SEC, Robert Kimdichie, Vernon Hargreaves, and Montravius Adams, were all at one time close to committing to Clemson or verbally committed to Clemson. And I think that just goes to show you just how good Clemson's doing. Right now in the state of Georgia, Clemson is continuing to just spread that paw throughout the state of Georgia. And I really believe Georgia Bulldog fans, as good as their team may be this year, as good as they have been, as close as they were last year to knocking off Alabama in the SEC championship game, to getting to the national championship possibly. Don't forget that. I think we look at Alabama and you say, wow, what a complete domination this team has had over college football the past 4 seasons, outside of when Auburn got it done. But Alabama was just that close to losing to Georgia this past year in the SEC championship game. But Clemson is making some inroads in the state of Georgia. I think they're building relationships with great players. It certainly didn't hurt that for most of this season last year, the Robert Kimdichie saga was going on. Many people believing that he may still end up at Clemson. His verbal commitment to Clemson was huge. And now when you've got the number 1 rated quarterback in the country verbally committing to Clemson, you're seeing more and more inroads being made by the Clemson Tigers. But for those 3 guys who are picked to be impact freshmen in the SEC, if you could only imagine if they were at Clemson in the ACC, just what that might mean for what this team could be this season. When you think about a young man like Mackenzie Alexander coming on board, when you look at just some of the guys that Clemson's been in the mix with, you say to yourself, wow, what an opportunity Dabo Swinney and this coaching staff have had over the past couple of seasons to not only build this program up, to continue to build the interest in this program, but take Clemson to that next level. Will 10 wins turn into 11 wins? And in 2013, can we get 12 or 13 wins? I think that's really the interesting thing, and really the number that you're going to be looking at. Can Clemson eclipse the past couple of seasons? And even if you throw in the bad year of 2010 as well, Clemson has won 27 games. When they went 6-7, they've won 27 games over the past 3 seasons under Dabo Swinney. That's 9 wins a year. I know you don't want to think about that down year. However, clearly the meter is headed in the right direction. And I wonder, we talked about Carolina being ranked 3rd by Sporting News. I wonder if Gamecock fans still feel like their meter right now is headed in the right direction. Or is there some fear in Columbia that perhaps, even though they've done what they've done to Clemson the past 4 seasons, that their run is beginning to eclipse and peak? Because I think that's kind of what I'm gathering. And I feel like Clemson fans feel like we're just starting. 9 years at South Carolina for Steve Spurrier. I'm shocked he's been there that long. Dabo Swinney, though, still seems like things are peaking. We'll be back next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. with more TigerNet Talk. Thank you so much, Clemson fans. Until then, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!